Study Section 10, Marxism and Communism. Introduction. Karl Marx, 1818 to 1883, was believed to be the gravedigger of the capitalist class. His ideology revolves around a general theory of society and social change, with a special attention to capitalist society. Thus, this section will expose you to the true meaning of Marxism and communism. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this section, you should be able to discuss Marxism, explain communism. Marxism. Marxism is an economic and socio-political discourse and method of socio-economic inquiry concerned with a materialist interpretation of history, a dialectical perception of social change, and analysis and critique of the development of capitalism. This ideological mindset was pioneered by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in response to the technological development and social change in the mid-19th century. The historical materialism aims at the causes of development and changes in human society and the means by which human beings collectively produce the necessities of life. In the fulfillment of these needs, men therefore inevitably enter into definite relations which are independent of their will, namely relations of production appropriate to a given stage in the development of their material forces of production. This relation of production is also responsible for the majority of other social phenomena, such as social relations, political and legal systems, morality and ideology. These social relations form the superstructure of which the economic system forms the base, also known as the substructure. Nevertheless, the Marxists are of the view that as technological wealth improves, the existing forms of social organization become inefficient and stifle further progress. This is because it is only human labor alone that creates the value in commodities which we exchange in the markets. This is because it is only human labor alone that creates the value in commodities which we exchange in the markets. This engender class struggle. By class struggle, we mean the active expression of a theoretical class conflict between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, who controls the means of production in society. This notion of class conflict has nothing to do with social class in the sociological sense, but rather germinated out of the tension in the age of capitalism. Marx argued that as industry makes effort to increase the number of machinery to raise the productivity of labor, so the number of workers tends to fall in relation to the capital invested in industrial plants. Thus, capitalist practice can no longer hold water to sustain the living standard of the proletariat, inasmuch as the bourgeoisie need to compensate for the falling rates of profit through slashing down wages, cutting social benefits, and pursuing military aggression. By and large, a socialist economy is expected to use gains from technology to cater for the people. This is based on the principle of satisfying human needs. That is, production will strictly be carried out directly for use. Eventually, socialism would give way to a communist stage of history, a class, stateless system based on common ownership and free access, superabundance and maximum freedom for individual. Communism. Communism is a socio-political movement that aims for a classless and stateless society, structured upon common ownership of the means of production, free access to articles of consumption, and an end of wage labor and private property in the midst of production. In the political terrain, its definition is interchangeably preferred to socialism, But to the Marxists, socialism is just a transitional stage on the road to communism. Communism is often used to refer to the policies of states run by communist parties, regardless of the political content of the economic system they may preside over. For example, the operation of communism by the People's Republic of China. The communist theory generally states that the proper way to solve the problems generated by capitalism is for the working class to ensure the dictates of the proletariat. The proletariat, who constitute the producer of wealth in society, are perpetually exploited and manipulated by the capitalist class, and reacted to overthrow of the capitalist system in a wide-ranging social revolution. Revolution to the communist system usually involves an armed struggle, but the armed struggle depends on the prevailing environmental situation in which the particular communism emanated. For examples, the Chinese Revolution involved military combat between the Chinese Red Army and the Chinese Nationalist Army, whereas the Vietnamese Revolution was largely guerrilla warfare between massive numbers of Vietnamese supporters of the Vietnamese People Army and various Western armies, United States Armed Forces prominently inclusive. By and large, the aim of the working class is to replace the exploiter class, that is, the bourgeoisie, as the ruling class, to establish a society without class division called socialism. As a prelude to attempting to achieve the full stage of communism, this ideology was popularized by both Marx and Engels in their famous pamphlet, The Communist Manifesto. According to them, communism outlook on freedom was based on an agent, obstacle, and goal. The agent is the proletariat. The obstacles are class division, economic inequalities, unequal life chances, and false consciousness. And the goal then is the fulfillment of human needs, including satisfying work and fair share of the product. Marx and Engels affirmed that communism did not restrain people to exercise their rights and put humans in such conditions as such relations with one another that they would not wish to exploit or have any need to. In addition, they hold that a process of class conflict and revolutionary struggle will result in victory for the proletariat and establishment of a communist society in which private property and ownership is established over time, and the means of production and subsistence belong to the community. Thus, the principle from each according to his ability and to each according to his need is the guiding philosophy of communism. Historically, the communist movement took shape in the 19th century, but it came to prominence in the 20th century when revolution led openly to communist government taking power in many countries, which engendered the creation of states like the Soviet Union, the People's Republic of China, the Republic of Cuba, etc. Besides, there are varieties of self-identified communist ideology, including Marxist Leninism, Trotskyism, Cancel Communism, Christian Communism, etc. But the prominence of all, Marxist Leninist interpretation constitutes a driving force in international political arena up till 1989, which the historian often referred to as the collapse of communism. Today, other forms of communism still thrive in the ideologies of various individual labor movements and trade unions worldwide, particularly in Europe and African states. However, Marx and Engels deliberately never provided a detailed description as to how communism would function as a social system, nor the precise ways in which the proletariat could or should rise up, nor any other material specifics of exactly how to get to communism from capitalism. Study section summary. In this study section, we learned that Karl Marx was eminently recognized as the political theorist of capitalist development. It premised its discourse on revolutionary outlook on the exploitative tension between the labor force, the proletariat who earn their livelihood by selling their labor power in turn for a wage or salary, and the bourgeois capitalists who are conscious of the surplus value appropriated from the labor force to create selfish wealth out of exploitation. Hence, the class struggle and the final overthrow of capitalism through a proletarian revolution. Lastly, we noted communism as an idea of a free society with no division or alienation, in which mankind are free from oppression and scarcity. There will be no governments, countries, or class division, but rather the dictatorship of the proletariat that meditates between capitalism and communism. End of study section 10. Thanks for listening.